Another test drive session on product management. Today, uh, we are here to help you deep dive into a field called product management, something you might have heard of, or something, definitely something which you guys won't know what exactly this field is. My name is Sneha Gupta, and I am a first year undergrad at Masters Union. So today I'm gonna help you deep dive into product management and what this field is, how to tap into this, and something which most of you might not know as such. Uh, so today we have varied number of people, some people from 8 standard, some people from 11, some people from 12. So we have a mix of students. So we have a lot of perspectives on table. Would love if you guys would interact in between, ask your questions, feel free. I'm just one like you, maybe a senior, but like just one like you who also didn't know back then what these fields are and wanted to explore all of these. So great. So we'll just get started. Give me a quick thumbs up so that I know you guys are all set to get started. Aaron, Kunal, Maitri, Marwan, can you guys switch on your videos? I want to see your faces. It'll be more interactive for me and you as well. Hey Prayan, hey Samriddhi, hey Shishti. Can you guys switch on your cameras, please? Don't shy. Aaron, Ane, switch on your cameras, please. No worries, Ane. Rest of you, please switch on. Thank you, Samriddhi. Thank you, Srishti. Nice to see you guys. Great, great, great. So you guys keep switching on your cameras. I want to see all of your faces and let's just get started. So, uh, welcoming you today to this product management session. Um, so like last session was about marketing. So just tell me quickly what was your favorite part from the last session? One of my peers only took that, so I did interact with him. How was the crowd? Like, how were the people? Were the people interactive and all? So I want to know from you, how was the session? What was your major learning? Just probably raise your hands. I'll unmute you or put it on chat. Whatever you feel free to do that. Yeah, quickly tell me, guys. It was engaging, and I also found that B2C marketing is possible with video funds. So nice. Great. What else? What did others learn? Guys, quickly. Okay, okay. Guys, let's keep it more interactive, please. Raise your hands. Anybody who wants to speak. Aaron, do you want to speak? Arush. Okay, okay. I think you guys will take time to get comfortable. No worries. So, what do you think? Like, what segment of today's session are you guys most excited about? Yeah, Pranav, please. Thank you so much. Yeah. You can unmute yourself, Pranav.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to talk about the first point. I
Okay.
guess the favorite part was had an opportunity to ask the speaker to I had given him a scenario of my own my dad's business, and
Yeah.
I got advices from him. So it was like a really awesome thing. I
Yeah.
had been struggling with marketing for my dad's business for a while, so I
Yeah.
got chance to work it out, and yeah. So
Great, great, great to hear. You guys are actually applying it since day one. So, like, which class are you in, if I may know?
I'm going to 12th, second
Oh my God,
year.
very inspiring. Yeah. And what are your expectations from this session? Like, what do you think will be the most exciting part for you? Shrishti, do you want to speak?
Um,
Yeah, yeah, Pranev, go ahead.
okay. Should I can give a chance to someone else.
Sure, sure. Kushant, Shrishti, do you want to speak? I think people are shying. So, like, Pranav, you can go ahead. What are your expectations? What are you excited about? Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Okay, should I unmute you? One sec. Can you raise your hand once? Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I could unmute myself. Yeah.
No worries.
So like I guess product management, that's a big deal in my dad's store as well. It's an appliance store. So product management is pretty important. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'm excited about how to manage it with a database and how to like, get new I guess apps and stuff to help manage products. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's very important once you have clarity in what you have, what you don't have, selling things becomes just, another part of it. So management of, different appliances, I guess I'm excited to know how to manage it in a way where it's easier for me to explain stuff. So, for example, if I want to know about a price of a product in my warehouse, then it's easy
Yeah.
to know with a clarity, like with a database.
Great, great, great. Yeah. I think you are somewhere or the other right, but like today we're gonna specifically go deeper into this term as well because this term seems a little bit not very nuanced in the sense that people don't know about this term a lot. And whenever people get to know, they're like, this is a term, this is something, this is a role that they have not heard of a lot. So we're gonna tap into this role deeply and tell you guys, you know, why in today's world product management is something which is the most important. Product managers are the ones who are the most important, the CEOs of the product, the ones who are who are leading the products in the company, and the ones who are very important to be a part of the company. So we'll just tap into all of that. Thank you so much for your points, Pranav. So we'll just get started. Few things, some rules for the session, not as such to be like thrown onto you, but like just keep your videos on. It would be so good to see you guys and interact. I want to keep it, really interactive. Talk to you guys, learn from you guys, and probably make you guys also learn something from from my end. And raise your hand again to speak, and let's engage in the chat box whenever you guys feel free to speak anything. So, quickly, because we're talking about product management, you guys will have a link in the chat box. You guys have to quickly put which product you use most in your daily life. And basis that, we'll just go ahead. I'll just stop my screen share and you can just go into the link. Can we have the link in the chat box? Just wait a few seconds, guys. Till then, you guys can switch on your cameras quickly. I can only see Kushant, nobody else. Samriti, thank you so much. Pranav, can we see you back? Srishti, Darsh. Yeah, you guys have the link now. Just open the link. I hope you guys are able to open the link, right? Brian is here. Rohil, Shanaya. Nice. As soon as all of you have joined, we'll just start the quiz. Nothing much. We just want to know which of the products you use daily in your life, the most in your daily life. And I'm expecting cell phones to be at the top, like your mobile phones to be at the top. But I would love if you would put some interesting stuff, something that nobody would have thought of, and a product that you use most in your daily life. I think we can get started. We have 15 participants. 22 here in the meet and 15 there, 17. Can we have the rest 5 people? Okay, so just 2 people. We'll wait for another a second and we'll get started. Great, I think we can start. You just write your responses, everyone. Laptop. Interesting. 5 people are left. Quickly do it, guys. 4, 2, 1 last. Who's left? There's one person left. Can we end the quiz then? If the person doesn't want to respond. Till we end the quiz, can we have your videos on, guys? I want to see you guys. Darsh, Srishti, all of you, please. Thank you so much, Simriti. Great. So, till the time we get to know which is the product which is used most by all of you, we'll just, tap into other things and then we'll reveal what is the product that most of you guys use. No worries, Harshvardhan. Thank you so much for responding. It was good to see you, Darsh. Please keep it on throughout. Great. So, like, I hope you guys, what did you guys wrote? Like, could you also put it on chat box till the time we get the results? What did you guys wrote? Just put it on the chat box. Clothes. Definitely. All of us use that every day. Books. Oh my God. She's a bookworm. Laptop. Already. Toothbrush. How many times do you use brush every day? Is it something that you use like most of the time? My bed. Very interesting. Cosmetics. I think you were you were wanting to write cosmetics. Food. Very interesting. My brain. Very interesting to hear what are the products that you guys use on a daily basis. I thought that most of you will end up writing the products like the tech products like Lenskart, WhatsApp, Instagram, and all of those. But you guys ended up being very creative, and I expected these answers from you. So essentially, what the answers also show that product is not just the tech products that we use, the Facebook, the Snapchat, the Instagram, or any tech product that you probably want to talk about. Those are not the just products that we use on a daily basis. Products are anything that helps us make our task easier, helps us do our task. Something that is made to add value to the consumer's life. So, laptop, toothbrush, books, clothes, all of these things are something that adds value to our life, right? And that is the very agenda behind making those products. Great. Uh, One sec. So, quickly put it on chat box also that what do you like the most about the products you choose? Like somebody has written laptop. What do you like about your laptop? Is there anything specific that you like about it? It can be anything small also. Like you can also write, I like the keyboard. I like the, enter button. Anything, like think creative. Anything you want to write. I can sleep in it. Wow. He's probably talking about bed. Survival. What are you talking about, Aaron? What is necessary for survival? What was the product that you chose? Water. Oh my God. Very interesting. Great. Very interesting, you guys. Anybody else wanna share? What is the one thing that they like the most about their product? Easy source of protein. Nice. Great, great, great. So, so all of these products that we're essentially talking about, these products are not just, you know, things that are made for consumers. These are the things that at the, initial level when they're established, when the idea from the ideation to the prototyping to the, the final product, everything involves the product journey. The product journey is what is called the product management, essentially. So product management as a whole, when we talk about, if we specifically tap into the, the tech products that we talk about, like Instagram, like WhatsApp, or any other tech products that come to your mind. All of those products are essentially made successful because of the product managers in the company. Essentially, product management is something that stands at the intersection of the UX, the tech, and the business. Now, what do I mean talking when I'm talking about this? So let's just tap into something which is so UX. You guys understand, right? What is a UX? Somebody wants to say? Anybody who wants to raise their hand and tell me what is a UX? Put it on chat, whatever you feel comfortable. Kushant. Okay, I'll just unmute you. Yes, please go ahead.
Stands for user experience. Like with solo website, we see how it goes, what the main experience we get through it. This is what we say UX.
Okay. Great, great, great. Kushant also. Okay, Kushant, you only said, na? Okay, Ane wants to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, so as he said, it is, like a user experience, but
Mm-hmm.
that it encompasses a lot of things under it. Like, for example, the user interface, or maybe the overall experience, or maybe the quality of your product, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That can also.
Quality, not as such, but like whatever you guys are saying, you're totally right. It is specifically the user, what is the user experiencing throughout using that product? What is the user, feelings or empathy or, tapping into the user's mind and understanding what is the user, what is going on inside the user's mind while using that product is essentially what is called the UX. And tech is specifically the tech teams that we have inside a company. We make a website that is essentially made by a tech person in the company. So the design person and the tech person and the business people are like the people who are standing at the executive level inside the companies. So at the intersection of all of these three people stand the product managers. Product managers are specifically the ones who firstly go out and understand what is the user feeling for a product. For example, if we go out and you guys did the WhatsApp simulation, right? So you might be able to relate a bit regarding that. So when the product manager at the, in the company of the WhatsApp, so they went out and understood what the user is feeling and all of that. And then is when they took that data and basis that they communicated it with the UX and the tech team what could be done to solve this problem, right? So they are the ones who solve the problem. They are the ones who are the CEOs of the product. What do I mean when I say the CEOs of the product? The ones who look after the product end to end. They care about the product. They are the ones who look after each and everything around and about the product. So specifically, they would go out, communicated with the UX team, communicated with the tech team, if it is feasible and profitable. Profitable by that I mean something that also communicates with the business as well. So they stand at the medieval level of that. Now let's just probably just tap in into a bad UX design, something where we feel a need of a product manager was there. I'll just show you quickly what do I great. One sec. So yeah. What do you guys think of this website? This is called reddiv.com, and this is like a news sharing website. So all of these this is a platform which is a very old company, but they have not changed their UX since the beginning. The times have passed, but they have not changed at all. So what do you guys think of this UX as such? What do you think is the user experience? Is it scattered? Is it easy to navigate? What do you think about this? Put it on chat, raise your hands. Kushant. Yeah,
I think it's a very bad UX as well as UI. We don't have proper navigate to what we want. Actually, everything like is mixed up. Not properly see clearly what it is.
correct. On point, Ane. Yes, go ahead.
I mean, it's very minimalistic, which is actually good because minimalistic designs are trending,
Okay.
but it's not very easy to navigate and it's not even practical.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's a bad UX.
Agreed. And okay, what I feel is there's no contrast and no hooks. Okay, so what you are saying, minimalistic, what do you think is minimalistic in this? Like, because all of us see a very scattered UX here. So what do you think is minimalistic? What is your definition to minimalistic? I'll unmute you. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, it does not have any flashy things on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's minimalistic.
Flashy things. Okay, interesting.
I
Okay,
mean,
so
the
first
top
off,
part, the
yeah,
top user menu is
yeah.
actually good.
This one,
No, the one above that.
this one.
Yeah, this one.
Okay, but do you find it easy to navigate? Like, do you know? Because it all seems a lot clustered in the sense that there's a hamburger. So the bigger picture on the website that you see is called a hamburger in the user experience. So like this hamburger is not placed right. The sizing is not fine. I think like this is for random to put it here, see more option, and then randomly a news below that. The website looks a lot random. I think you would agree somewhere or the other to this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Kushant, what do you have to say? Go ahead.
It's not like minimalistic. If you see the nav bar is not properly working, actually flashy things helps to create a minimalistic. So if you see the background is completely white, which is like gives a strain to eyes. In today's
Yeah.
days, we use black background, proper contrast, lightweight text, proper. There's a lot of margin, spacing, padding, proper ads are properly managed. Some of their ads are even not working and properly what we don't able what we see if there's some if any person has some eye problems they have Sushma, like they are not properly see exactly every point easily. There's also very big difference also, and yeah, also there is some fonts also not properly managed there.
Correct. On point. I also agree with that. Like all of us collectively find it a very bad UX that we experience. Good UX could be the apps that you use on a daily basis. Could be Blinkit, could be Zepto, could be WhatsApp, could be any of the apps that you use on a daily basis. Those have a good UX because that is why you use it, right? So this is what we call a bad UX. Now, a bad UX calls for a need of a product manager in the company. Now, because product manager stands at the intersection of a UX designer, a tech person, and the business person, now we'll talk about a bad tech product. Have you guys used IRCTC ever? I think you guys would have. How was your experience? Do you want to share? Put in chat, raise your hands. Anybody? Nobody has booked. Seems too old. It is old. Have you used like booking, used it to book a ticket? How's your experience? Like, it's an okay UI. Not the UI. I'm not talking about the UI. I'm talking about the tech part of it. Like the UI is fine. I mean, a lot can be improved as well, but the UI is fine still. It's easy to navigate, but is it like easy to book a ticket on IRCTC? I've never found it easy, honestly. It lags, but it's systematic. It's very laggy. Okay, cool. So few of you guys have done this. The people who have not, just try it once. Don't book it till the end of the process, but just try it once. It's damn laggy experience. Like I've never seen an app or a website lag this much. This calls for a bad tech product. This is something which is called a bad tech product. Something where the coding has not been done properly. The back end coding, the front end coding. I hope you guys understand what back end front end is. The coding has not been done properly. So someone is not able to navigate and it's a government website. What would you expect? I think maybe, but I won't agree to it wholly. But yeah, I mean, this is what is called a bad tech product. So this again calls for a this again calls for a product manager inside the company. IRCTC, should have product manager inside the company so that this kind of an experience can be improved. So essentially, going back to what I was saying is, all of these things that I'm saying, product management stands at the intersection of UX, tech, and business, is essentially because a bad design or a bad tech product calls for the need of a product manager, someone who could navigate and solve that and communicate it to the business. What do I mean by communicating it to the business? Something that can be made profits of. Right. If a design is made, a website is made, but that is not able to generate a profit, then the product manager might not be the right person to look out to. Right. So a product manager stands at the intersection of all of that. I hope that's something that you guys are able to relate to. Great. So again, because we are talking about you guys exploring a career in product management as such. So again, as I said, product management is the CEO. Product manager is the CEO of the product, someone who involves creating products that meet customer demands. And again, it should align with the company as well. Educational qualifications, again, after your schooling, you need to do a bachelor's degree and then go, if you want to look out for senior product management positions, go for an MBA. And above and beyond, you need to get educated a bit more. That is essentially what is there. Soft skills required to be a PM would be the communication skills again, because he or she is someone who stands at the medieval level. So the CEO or the executives, the business executives are at the top position. The ones who are looking after the UX or the tech part are at the bottom position. And product management stands in between of that. Someone who could communicate what UX designer or the tech person is saying to the business executives. Something that makes sense to all of them. That is what a product manager's roles is. So he needs to communicate really well. Obviously he needs to have creativity. If creativity is not there, nothing could be done, essentially, because we all look out for creative products. You guys must have seen the hoverboards of Blinkit, doodh mangoge to doodh denge, and all of that. You guys must have seen. If you guys have not, I'll just quickly show you also. One sec. I might be able to find it. I'm not sure. Not sure, not sure. I won't be able to find it. But essentially, the the creativity that they show on their, with the boards that they put out, those are essentially what essentially shows that they have good product managers inside the company. So creativity must be there. Again, because they are managing a lot of people, people management skills are a must. Empathy is the most important, because empathy is something that a product management manager needs to have to step into the shoes of the consumer as such. If a product manager cannot step inside the shoes of the consumer, then is when they won't be able to solve that problem. I hope you guys understand what empathy is. Quickly show me thumbs up if you guys know, or else I'll tap into it a bit more. Great, great, great. And have you guys seen that Blinkit wala hoverboards and all of that? Just put a thumbs up for that as well. And unless I'll show you guys. Okay, cool, cool. Guys, you guys have seen. Okay, so those are the creative products. And again, it requires a lot of empathy to understand what the consumer is, asking for, what improvement could be done inside the product. And strategic thinking again, because they need to, they need to communicate it to the executives as well as the UX and the customers as well. They need to please the customers as well. So all of those things are required, the soft skills that are required to become a PM. Okay, yeah, billboards. Oh my God, I was wrong with the word. Yeah, billboards are there. You guys can also search like Blinkit billboards. You'll be able to find and see the kind of creativity that they shows. Okay. Yeah. So this is what the PM career path looks like, 35 LPA. Don't go by the numbers, but it is essentially that your position starts from being a PM, then you become a group PM where you work with a lot of product managers, and then is when you get position as a director PM inside the company. And at the last, it's the CPO of the company, the one who's the chief product officer, essentially. So slow and steady, you climb the ladders and you get the position that you're looking for. Okay, cool. So, which company has revolutionized the music experience, mobile communication, and wrist wearables through its product? What do you guys think is the name? Because we're gonna tap into that company a bit. We're gonna talk about that company a bit. So, essentially, what do you guys think is the company? Oh my God, did I? Okay, 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 no worries. But I saw a bit like a few of you already put it in chat. Bose, Boat, you guys are wrong. The ones who put Apple, okay, maybe it's after me showing that, but okay, the name is Apple. Essentially a company which has revolutionized the music experience, we have, the iPods, we have the mobiles, we have the Apple watches that we use. So yeah, Apple is the right name. Great. So Apple's iconic products, essentially, we're gonna talk about that. So it revolutionized the way music industry through iPod Shuffle, iPod Nano, iPod Classic, and iPod Touch. So the music industry's experience altogether was transformed, was altogether revolutionized with the iconic products that Apple came up with. Again, most of us have iPhones already at this age, so you guys know what kind of an experience we feel when we use an Apple iPhone, right? And then is when the Apple Watch, something that we use to track our fitness, or just a multifunctional device. It looks good on a hand. So, all of these products, the iconic products that we're talking about, these are essentially, can help product managers to learn a lot, because Apple is that company which goes by minimalism. It has a minimalistic design. The tech is also, on point. You will never find an iPhone or a wrist or an Apple Watch, not behaving the way you want it to behave. The tech is good. The UX, again, is something the company is known for. So essentially, there's a lot the product managers can learn from the Apple ecosystem altogether. So what exactly is the product management style in Apple? Essentially, first is the obsessive user focus. What do I mean by that? Essentially, is that, have you ever noticed, like, when you use Apple products, there's so much focus on each and everything. Essentially, like when you're holding an Apple phone, uh, the company or the CEO of the company, essentially, because we're gonna talk about, Jeff Bezos, Tim Cook in a bit also. So, like, he's someone who has had that obsessive user focus. They are focused on what the user is looking for, why is the user looking for what he's looking for. Essentially, we talk about this iPods, right? So yeah. So, like, when developing the iPods, Steve Jobs himself, earlier it was Steve Jobs, now it's Tim Cook. So, at that time, when they were revolutionizing the iPod industry as such, the music industry as such, Steve Jobs actually carried that bulkier MP3 players. Have you guys ever seen those MP3 players around? Put it in chat, put a thumbs up, anything. Anything, you guys? Put a thumbs up. Okay, cool, cool. You guys have used. Okay. So those MP3 players, they were so, like, it was very bulky to use them. I have not used it personally, but uh, all of those things, like, those were all those pain points Steve Jobs collected, and he revolutionized the, MP3 players as such, by introducing a click wheel design. So all of these things come by the obsessive user focus that the company would have, right? And then there are data driven decisions. Essentially, all of these things, because we are talking a lot about empathy in product management, right? Product management would is something that talks a lot about empathy, that works around empathy. So all of those data comes from the user itself. Is the user feeling what he's feeling? Why are we doing what we are doing? Everything comes from the user itself. So the user feedbacks, the data driven decision making is very important when we are talking about that. That is what Apple as a company also do. So autocorrect and predictive test, you might have seen it on your iPhones and everything. So all of that came after Apple trying to analyze that touch data, right? Essentially, just the touch data helped them realize that they need to introduce something like autocorrect and predictive tests. So this is called data-driven decisions that they made. Then again, storytelling and experience is very important. If you can't tell a story through your product, that product cannot be sold to the customer. So that is essentially very, very important. Um, so, like, while they were launching their iPad in 2010, they showed the whole journey. How will it revolutionize the, consumer experience? That tells a lot of story. That tells how my experience is gonna change. So that is essentially what we can learn a lot from Apple. Okay, so you guys, that is what was Apple was there. So you guys have done WhatsApp simulation. So these are the top three winners. Congratulations, Palak, Avani, and Atharv. Congratulations, you guys. Now, for the people who could not, become the top performers, now is your chance. We're gonna do another simulation on Spotify. We're gonna talk about, first of all, we're gonna talk a bit about the WhatsApp simulation. What did you guys learn and all of that? That simulation discussed the features till 2018, right? Now we're gonna talk about what changed after 2018. Essentially, when we're talking about, what changed after 2018, what do you think are the new features WhatsApp has introduced just now? What has changed in WhatsApp? Has the user experience changed? Is there any new feature that you have, seen? Anything? Raise your hands, put in chat, anything works. Anybody wants to say? Community section. Okay, yeah, interesting. That has been introduced lately. Status. I think it was there before 2018 as well. AI, definitely there. Meta AI, yeah. Paying through WhatsApp, very interesting. Definitely. Able to edit messages. On point, Rohil. They're allowed to use song on status now, like Insta. Is it? I've not explored that feature. Okay. Video call. Video call was already there, Kushant. Great. I think you guys are, really, really trying to understand what I'm trying to say. So, all of these features essentially that you guys are talking about, all of these features came after 2018. And all of those features came in because they could understand what the user is looking for, essentially. Right. Right. So all of these features like disappear after one view. You guys must have, used that feature. React to messages with emojis. And somebody already said edit messages. And again, share videos and photos with high definition. So all of that is there. Now, I already revealed the name, I think. What do you guys is the app for the today's simulation? If anybody of you heard me very carefully. Okay, 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 okay. I've been already revealing the names, but okay, okay. This app is used for entertainment. Spotify is the name. Great. Keep your videos on. I want it to be really interactive, the simulation altogether. Just switch on your videos. We'll start with the simulation. It will help you tap into product management a bit more deeply, and we'll do it together. Darsh, Anshika, Shrishti, we'll start with the simulation as soon as you guys switch on your cameras. Darsh, do you want to switch on your camera? Okay. Anshika, Shrishti. Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll just get started with the simulation. It's a very interesting one. It will help you, tap into product management a bit more deeply. You guys have done the WhatsApp simulation already. Now we're going to talk about Spotify. You guys think of yourself as product managers of the company. And then is when you guys have to answer these. So the first question, one sec. We don't need a question right now, do we? Is there a question on each and everyone's screen? I think there's some glitch. You guys can ignore this one. Yeah. So essentially, while we are doing this simulation, you will have a lot of questions popping up in your chat box. You guys can, answer it there, and then is when we'll put the answer here as well. And then is when we'll know if our answer is right or wrong. Think of yourself as product managers and then try to answer those questions, right? Okay, so how many of you know that Spotify changed its logo? Like most of you might have seen just the new logo. Have you guys ever seen this old one? Who all of have you seen? Okay, Darsh wants to say something. Yeah,
I was just saying that I've seen this logo.
you have seen. Okay, interesting. I didn't expect. Anybody else who saw this logo before, the old one? Just put a thumbs up. It would work. No, okay, okay, no worries. So Spotify changed this logo from what you see before and what you see, what you all of us use Spotify today. So what was the journey of changing that logo? Why that change was important and all of that? We're gonna talk about that. Think of yourself as product managers again. I'm repeated, and then try to understand why this step should be taken inside the company. So first of all, let's just talk about how did Spotify came up with the name that it came up with. What do you guys think? How was Spotify named? I'll just, yeah. Anybody knows like how did Spotify come up with its name? I'm not sure anybody of you would know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So I'll, okay, Spot. Okay, you saw that already on the screen, I think. Okay, no worries. So we're gonna talk about how did Spotify came up with the name. So Very interestingly, the founders, I'm not sure if the story is right, if the story is wrong, but this is essentially what we know through the internet. So the founders were sitting inside their, home, and one of the co-founders shouted from the another room something, a name, and the other founder misheard the name as Spotify, a name that has never heard been before, that comes by the combination of spot and identity. So this is how Spotify was named, something which came after that mis that misheard of the other co-founder, and that is how Spotify was named. That is how we know it today. And okay, so the year is 2008. Spotify has recently launched by invite only access. Everything's on point. Spotify just got launched. They have the name, they have the logo. Now is when there are less than 30K users, of which only 10K are premium. So you understand the normal users and the premium users. The normal users are the one who use Spotify for free, like most of us would do, right? And they are just 10K users out of that. There are 30K total users, and just 10K users out of that who use the premium feature on Spotify. So, as product managers, you need to think, how could this be made better? How could we increase the number of premium subscriptions, or why are the other 20K people are not, interacting with the app, or they are just the free users, they are not buying the premium? What do you guys think about that? Just put your brains in there while I go a bit forward. So, again, they have hired you as a product manager, so we're going to think in that domain. So as the product manager, it is your responsibility to make Spotify the number one music app in the global market. And you ask your team to gather the data, and your team tells you that total number of users you have, um, who have downloaded the app. One sec. Who have downloaded the total number of users who have downloaded the app are 10 million, and only 25% of that are actively using the app. Now is when you will have a question popping up on your screen. Quickly answer that. Can we have the question? Do we have the question in the chat box? Okay, no. Is there some technical glitch? Do you guys want to answer it on chat? Probably there's some technical glitch. Just answer it on chat. You can see the question. Okay, okay, okay. 7.5. Some of you are saying 2.5. Okay. I'll take the answer which is more said. 7.5 clearly. Okay, I'll just put that in and see if the answer is right. Correct. Okay, so again, if you take 75% of out of that 100%, then is when you come up with 7.5 million, and that is essentially the number of people who are inactive on Spotify. Now is when you have got the number, right? You have got the number, and now is when you need to evaluate if this number is if this number as a product manager can help you in any way, right? So you realize that 7.5 million inactive users who are not actively engaging with the app. So it's like 7.5 million users have downloaded the app, but they're not using the app. They're not engaging with the app. So you need to improve the experience. You need to improve the experience for the inactive users. Now is when, as a product manager, what would you do? What would you do? Like, you are at this position, you have nothing, you just have one vision in your mind. You need to make Spotify the world's biggest app, world's biggest music app. What would you guys do when you know that 7.5 million out of that 10 million are not actively engaging with the app? How would you collect the data? What data would you collect? What do you guys think? Put it in chat, raise your hands. Get to know the reason why they aren't active. Okay. Understand why they are inactive. Okay, yeah, essentially that only. Like, you try to understand why they are inactive, why they are not, they have downloaded the app, but they're not using the app. So when we are collecting the data, all of them ended up saying, so Edward says that I stopped using Spotify because I couldn't easily share what I was listening to on my social media profiles. So because he couldn't share it with his community, he felt like this app doesn't make sense for me because it's the social media era. If you can't share it with your friends, it doesn't make sense for me to use. And essentially, that is what Tixi also says. That is what Andrea also says. So all of these users collectively say that I'm not using Spotify. I've downloaded Spotify, but I'm not using this app because it doesn't let me, share it with my friends, the songs with my friends. So essentially, that is what, as a product manager, the problem is something that you have found. Now you'll go out and you'll analyze this feedback, and this feedback highlights that there's inability to share music on other digital platforms. That is what has led to the inactiveness, right? So these are the questions on your screen. What would you do to solve this problem? What do you think? Just probably, do we have the poll? If by any chance the technical difficulties are solved. Yeah, we have the poll. You can read the question on the screen. You can answer on the poll. Okay, okay. Interesting. And one sec. Manpreet, would you mind sharing your screen for this? I think there's some technical glitch. Okay, one sec. Give me a second, guys. Okay, just a second. Okay, so like I'll share my screen from my phone because there's some technical glitch. I hope you guys don't mind. Okay. Is my screen visible? Can you guys quickly react? Okay, thank you so much. Cool. So we'll just resume the quiz. Right. Did we come too far? One sec. One sec. Yeah, we were done with this, right? Is my screen clearly visible to you guys? We answered this one, right? Okay, okay, thank you so much. Okay, so we were on this question, right? This one. Can we have the poll on the Zoom again? I think most of you answered one, so I could see that. I'll answer this and will proceed further. Okay, okay. So as you guys answered, like the partnering with the social media platforms could help the users to share music and discover tracks through their friends. So that is essentially what Spotify did, and that is essentially what should be done. Great. So we'll just move forward with that. Um, so we have partnered with Facebook and integrated Spotify on the social media platform, and we have allowed people to share their music instantly. And obviously, this has brought a lot, spike in the active users. They've gone up to 8 million and 2x, 3x the number you started with. So essentially, this feature has helped us a lot. Okay. So now is when, as a PM, you have to keep improving the product and you need to conduct deeper user research. So going forward, as soon as the Spotify has introduced this feature, now is when, going ahead, they need to keep improving the product, um basis the user experience, right? So okay, so they need to collect the data now, to keep improving the user experience. So what would you do? You would conduct quarterly focus groups to collect that data, or you would acquire a third party music data company, or you would conduct survey campaigns, or you would develop an in-house data intelligence team. So this is essentially to collect the data and understand what the user actually needs. So what would you do? These are the pros and cons that are written. Um, we'll quickly have a poll on the group, and you guys can answer what do you think could be the best way to collect the data. I hope you guys have read the pros and cons. I'll just move forward then with the question. So you guys have the question with you. What do you guys think is the answer? Are you guys able to see this the questions? Because I think it's coming up it. You guys are not able to see. Okay. Manpreet, I have shared the deck with you. Would you mind? Okay. Got it, Anshika. Thank you so much for telling. Manpreet, I've shared the deck with you. Would you mind sharing it with us? Sharing your screen with us? There's some technical glitch, guys. Give me a second. Thank you so much. I think you okay. Okay, I think you guys are able to see the screen right now. Can you guys quickly show a thumbs up if you guys are able to see it clearly now? Thank you so much for telling, guys. Okay, so you guys can answer this in the chat itself to not make it a bit more complicated, because the tech is not with us today. So we'll just you can answer it on the you know chat itself. What do you guys think is the answer? First, second, third, fourth. What do you guys think? How would you collect the data as a product manager? Second, okay. Second, Shania also say second. Anybody else? D. Okay, somebody said D. Third. I think second, most of you said, so we'll just quickly do that. And yes, that's the right answer. Great. So the answer is acquiring a third party music data company. For the people who said fourth, so it's a very high initial investment in hiring and training with a longer term to see results. So that doesn't make sense at this point of time for the company, because the company is currently, trying to grow. And for that, you need to be really, really mindful of the amount you have, the funds that you have, and the options that you are left with as a product manager. So acquiring a third party music data company would be the apt option. Can we move forward? Yeah, so like now, considering your suggestions, we acquired a third party music data from Econest, a firm called Econest, and now your team can now effectively leverage user data and improve Spotify to cater to their growing demands and needs. So that is essentially that can be done right now. Next, please. Okay, so moving forward, as a product manager, think more deeply and tell me, now is when the users find it inconvenient, because you have collected the data. Now you know what is the user experience overall. Now the users are finding it inconvenient to keep searching for individual songs and albums on their own. So it's very difficult for them to search on for the individual albums, and they want Spotify to become more intelligent and customize the suggestions according to what I want. If I want a sad song, if I want a happy song, that is essentially the discretion that I'm looking for as a user. But Spotify hasn't implemented that yet. How would you as a product manager implement that feature? Can we move ahead? Yeah, so these are the options in front of you. Which of the following strategy will you adopt as a PM to ensure the app becomes more intelligent and customized to user experiences? So you can quickly put in your answers in the chat. What do you guys think should be done to improve the user experience in this case? Okay, launch a feature to generate personalized playlists. Okay, interesting. Okay, most of you are saying fourth, so we'll just quickly put that in. Fourth. Thank you. Okay, that's the correct answer. So you guys are literally thinking from the product manager mindset, and that is why you are getting the right answer. So essentially, launching a feature to generate personalized playlists using complex algorithms basis. If I am someone who listens to a lot of sad music, that is the kind of algorithm that Spotify can implement, and basis that can only show me the sad musics, can mostly show me the sad musics because I essentially listen to that. So this is the kind of thinking that goes behind implementing any feature inside the company. Forward, please. Okay, so you have done a great job. We have the feature with us. You have launched the feature Discover Weekly feature, which gives users personalized recommendations. You guys must have experienced this on Spotify, right? Basis on their most played songs on Spotify. So whatever you guys are listening to on a daily basis gets clubbed, and there's a playlist, a new playlist formed. So that is essentially what Spotify did. Can we move forward? Okay, so now it is your responsibility to ensure that the user knows about that feature. Now you have introduced a feature. How would you make the user know about that feature? You need to tell them that we have introduced this Discover Weekly feature so that they come back to Spotify, and you need to introduce that feature. What would you do? These are the options in front of you. Send push notifications. Okay. All of you are saying first. Okay. You guys already have the answers with you or what? Like, you guys are so on point today. Okay, cool. So we'll do fourth. Okay, thank you so much. This was the correct answer again. So the answer is just send push notifications that takes them to the new feature page on the app. So essentially, you guys must have seen, you guys might be using Blinkit, Zepto on a daily basis. That could be the best example in the sense that the kind of notifications that they keep sending you each and every day. If they have, for example, Zomato, right? Even in Zomato, there's a push notification on a daily basis that we have this today. Would you like to have this and that? So that is essentially what needs to be done. Okay. So you'll send the push notifications to your 82 million monthly active users. And now, because you have sent the push notification, now you need to analyze the CTR, the click-through rate for this. So the number of users are 1.64 million, and the users out of that who clicked on that is 82 million. What do you think is the CTR? If you guys know about the CTR, essentially it is the click-through rate in the sense that how many people clicked on that. We need to get to know that. What do you guys think is the answer? Put it on chat. Okay, okay, cool. Cool. So this is essentially what is there. We'll just put 2 as answer. Great. So we're running a bit out of time because you guys are somewhat aware of all of these things. You guys have got to know what product management is. We'll just end the simulation here. Essentially, it just had a few more questions for you in the sense that why is the click-through rate low and all of that, in the sense that the question that you are able to see on the screen, to improve the click-through rate of the notification, you decide to send it in a different time. What should be the new time? So essentially all of those things. So what do you think should be the time? You can quickly put it in chat, maybe. The time you put, you push the notification is not the right time because it's not bringing in a lot of click-through rate. What do you think should be the right time? Third, okay. We'll just put third as answer. Okay, great, great, great. So again, you just change it to 7 p.m. and that is what essentially needs to be done as a product manager. Okay, so approximately 11 million users have discovered already. Uh, a lot of Apple iTunes users have now switched to Spotify. The active users for Spotify in 2015 has now increased to 91 million. So Discover Weekly feature has helped you doing that, and all of those things, the features that you've introduced, have helped you increase the reach of the user base that you have. Can we move forward? Is there a glitch? Can we move forward? Yeah. Okay, so like essentially these are the questions that we have. Can we just end the simulation? Because essentially now I think you guys are a bit, um, aware of what we are talking about and all of these things. Essentially just talking about the problems that the company is facing on a daily basis, and basis that we are just trying to solve all of that as a product manager. Because you guys are coming with the right answers, I feel you guys are now a bit aware of this. Okay, we'll just end the simulation. Give me a second. You just click through forward so that because we are a bit out of time, so you can just click anything and we can move forward. Yeah, we can just, no worries. Great. So these were the few features also that we are talking that we were talking about to introduce. Um, this simulation requires us to go through the whole of it, but because we are short on time, we'll just quickly end this. Till then, okay, cool. So can we have the videos on? I think we have the guest with us. Can you also start a screen share? Hi, Anant. So nice to see you today. Thank you so much for coming. Guys, the guest is here. Can we have this videos on? Everyone. Kushant, Anshika. Can we also have the screen share?
Hey Sneha, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. We'll just quickly start the screen share and we can start.
Yes.
You guys can tell and quickly switch on your videos because it's going to be a really interesting session. Because till now we've just talked about product management as a whole, what this career looks like. Now we in front of us have the product manager with us. Whatever questions you might have in your mind, you can feel free to ask Anand sir. And we're going to quickly tap into a few questions that you guys already would have in your mind, and we're going to talk about those things. You guys can switch on your cameras, and yes, we'll start with the screen share. Great. So, little introduction about Anant. He's the director in product management at ETS. He's an alumni of Michigan Technological University and also an ex-associate director in product at Harappa. Also worked at Bolt, some of the brand that we were just talking about. So he's also worked as a ex-product manager there. He's had a 14 years of experience in product entrepreneurship, sales, operations, and the engineering. So he's essentially the person you guys were looking for, the perfect product manager that you guys want to talk to, ask your questions to, and someone who could actually help you guys understand this field a bit better. Thank you so much for coming. We welcome you here. With your permission,
Thank
we can
you.
start the
So happy
session.
to be here. Thanks for the very nice introduction.
Thank you so much. Should we start?
Ready when you are.
Sure, sure. So we can, should we start with the
Can
questions,
we
or do
can
you
we
want to
start with
say
like
something
a
before?
just a quick introduction for everybody who's there, then I can just take a minute to introduce myself as well. Just to know who's in the room, just like an informal sort of kickoff.
So like the introduction of the students?
Yeah, yeah. Or just a background of, what the
Sure.
cohort looks like.
Yeah, so anybody wants to speak, you can raise your hands, we can unmute you. Okay, Pranav wants to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, sir. So my name is Pranav. I'm in 12th grade. And I joined Masters Union as just to know about more about positions in companies and stuff to get to know more. And Yeah, I'm into commerce, so I would like to know careers which align with my path, and product manager sounds like a good career to be in. So,
What school are you in?
I'm currently studying in Bangalore. I'm in 12th grade. I'm in state board, so it's called pre-university here. I go to a college nearby called Transcend PU College. So yeah.
Super, super. Very nice to meet you, Pranav.
Yeah.
So are most of the cohort here, class 12, class 11, thereabouts?
Yeah, some of them are even from class 8, so we have a mixed cohort. Kushant
Wow.
wants to say something.
Good, good afternoon, sir. My name is Kushant. I am a 16-year-old student studying in class 12 humanities. I live in Mansa, Punjab. I'm studying in DAV Public School, Mansa, and I am love to create beautiful website and love to entrepreneurship. And sir, I have a question. If I don't think so, it's good to ask there. So, would you like to mentor students in a summer camp?
Okay, directly he's asking if we could have.
We take it offline. Maybe we can take that offline. And since we have limited time, we can take that offline. Yeah, you can reach out to me. It's fine.
Definitely, definitely. Kushant, we can
Yeah,
take
actually,
this out later.
yeah, actually, me and my most of the time there is a lot of CEOs, CFOs, developers coming there and starting a summer camp soon. And I would like to you sir, please please come and join us and mentor students.
Definitely.
And we are serving students for free this summer camp.
Kushan, that's a wonderful thought. I'd love to know details. And you can reach out to me. My email is with Sneha and the
Yeah,
team. You can also reach out to me on
Uh,
LinkedIn. I'd love to be a part of it if I can.
definitely.
sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Great. So I think we'll just get started. Should we?
Yeah, yeah. So let me just take a minute. I'll introduce myself.
Sure.
My name is Anant. I am currently director of product at ETS. ETS is a company. You may have heard of the TOEFL and GRE tests. If you're preparing to go abroad or even within India, it's assessments. It's TOEFL is the English assessment, GRE is assessment people typically take for STEM courses to study in the US typically, but other places as well. I lead product management for TOEFL on the B2B side for ETS. Previously, I've worked in multiple product roles. I've also led a startup for 4 years. I also, before that, I started my career in the oil and gas industry in upstream. So I've had experience in multiple roles and also multiple industries. So yeah, that's sort of my background. And yeah, let's kick this off. I'm very excited to interact with all of you.
Sure. Thank you so much for your introduction and starting with the questions that these guys might have in their minds. So definitely because you are a product manager, essentially, firstly, we would want to know what does it mean to work as a product manager? Just take an example if you could and just explain us what does it mean to work as a product manager as such.
Okay, so let's keep this interactive, Sneha, if it's
Sure.
okay. So,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I'll ask some questions and you can obviously chime in. And if you want
Yeah,
to stay silent, that's fine as well.
yeah.
So let's talk about what a product is. Anybody want to tell me what a product is? Talk about product management. Let's figure out what a product means.
You guys can raise your hands. I'll unmute you.
Okay, it's okay. Let me tell you what I think a product is, and people may say different things. A product is an offering. It could be anything, and typically we talk about software as a product, but this equally applicable to hardware as well. Any offering typically by a company that solves a user's needs is a product. So, this laptop that I have in front of me is a product. My phone is a product. Some of the apps I use every day, Uber, Zepto, Blinkit, Zoom is a product. So all of these, if you think they are solving a user's needs, and when I say needs, I also mean, like wants, desires, anything that, that the user thinks is solving some need for them. A product manager, what they typically do, they'll manage this product, and it could be any product throughout the life cycle. So it's from just identifying the need. So if you take a product we use very frequently, the last app I used was Zepto. And I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that. It solves my need. I wanted to order some milk, and we were out of milk. The nice lady who works in our house, she said, we're out of milk. I said, okay, give me 5 minutes. I used the app, it came, right? So that's a product. Somebody figured out that there's a need. People, they have grocery shops, they have their big basket that delivers milk the next day. There's, Dunzo that helps you buy it from a shop. But people just need it right now. They don't want to step out. It's the age of instant gratification. So the need is for people to get products in 10 minutes or less. So that was a need that was identified. And then they conceptualize the product. That's the need. How do we go about building it? So they figured out that we have to identify an area in which we'll operate, as a pilot. We'll start, say, I live in South Delhi, so they would have thought, maybe let's start in South Delhi. We'll create an interface, which is the app. We'll also have to have physical stores from where riders will come. We'll need to figure out what it is that people want, that items that are most ordered. So we'll start with those. I think it was something like, pardon me, I know this is not the right audience, but data tells us it was cigarettes. And, there was stuff like milk, groceries. So they figured out through surveys, interviews, some of their intuition as well, what they need to stock there. Then they figured out how they'll actually deliver it. So they tied up with individual riders or fleets that had these riders, and then they built this model, and then they piloted it. Because it's all very well, to interview people, to build the tech, to put up the physical infrastructure, but the proof of the pudding is in the eating, right? So then they actually piloted it. They started getting orders. People started to receive stuff. They must have had multiple problems that they would have had to fix, then get user feedback, build new features, stock more products, and then slowly start to spread out in different geographies. And now we all know where Zepto is today. I think they're ready for an IPO, which is what I heard. So with that example, you can figure out it starts from identifying a gap in the market, or there's already, a solution out there, but you can build a better solution. And then you can figure out, whether that is feasible in terms of whether you can build it, whether it's viable. When you say viable, it's whether you can make money off it, and whether it's desirable, whether users will actually use it. So I know that that's a lot of words. Anything you want to ask about that? Any questions? And Sneha, you can
Yeah,
ask
I
questions
think
as
you
well.
guys, I'm not. No, I think it was on point. This is essentially what we were talking about in the first part of the meeting. We were talking about product solving the problem, starting with identification to, actually understanding the feasibility and then building the product. That is essentially what most of us would be able to relate with the example you gave of Zepto. Most of us use that every day. Any follow-up questions you guys have can raise your hands in between. Otherwise, we can move forward with the questions.
There's one last thing I'd like to add, and this is
Sure.
a hypothetical scenario, right? Very, very few people have the opportunity to build a product from scratch all the way to launch and then look after it after
Yeah.
it's launched. Typically, a product manager would be looking at a specific part of the business or a specific part of the product. An example could be like, say, you're a product manager at Uber, and you are working specifically on, say, Uber XL. I just picked a random example. So you have to figure out everything around that part of the product. You'll figure out, you look at data, you'll figure out, how this is going, whether people are using this or not, whether something needs to be a difficult decision to kill a feature or even kill a product. That's very much part of product management. I'll just take that in a minute. I just want to make one final point, that as a product manager, what you need to own is the why. Why are you doing this? Why are you adding that extra button? Why are you adding that extra feature? Why is it that you want to roll it out to a different geography? Why is it that you want to kill this? And that why comes from a very deep understanding of your user and and very, very, very deep understanding of the data. I can't stress this enough. You have to be very good with data, and you have to love data to be a good product manager. Yeah, so I'll stop there. Kushant, you had a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, before Zepto, these are some of platforms introduced which is just similar to Zepto. They are like doing 60-minute delivery, 30-minute delivery, but they failed within a very few months. What is that product management strategy that Zepto use that they get so huge success and they are right now we can see there.
So great question. I don't think it's one. I think it's a combination of factors. One is, like I said, very deep understanding of the users, what the users want, what features they want, what kind of experience they want, what kind of flow they want on the product, how easy it is to find the product they need, whether the delivery people are, at a very basic level, are they providing good service? Are they able to find the location properly? Is the navigation good? Are they polite? So there's a bunch of different things. The first mover advantage is obviously there. If you're entering a new market and you're the first person there, that's a huge advantage. And then you have to just make sure that you are meeting your users' needs. And I don't work at Zepto, but I would hazard a guess saying that they understand the users better than anybody else. Of course, there's a few other players. There's Blinkit, they're doing really well as well. There's Big Basket's got in there, Geo's getting in there. So one that shows this market has been validated. So many people are getting in there. They expect to scale. And secondly, that there's room for more than one person if the market is big enough. So Zepto is doing well. The other people are doing well. There's some that didn't survive, and I think they probably didn't understand the users or the market well enough.
I hope that answers your question, Kushant. Great. So we'll take Pranav's question now. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. So I noticed in your career you also dealt with dealt with doing engineering. So I mean, in my question is like, as a product manager, right? I think you deal with more of with programmers than doing programming yourself. Like, how much of code knowledge do you need to know, or do you need to deal with? Because as a commerce student, I have no idea about coding, but if I need to get into product management, like, do I need to know some coding to deal with like on the database user experience and stuff?
That's a really good question. So the short answer is no. You don't need to know. As a commerce student, you can get in product management. However, product management, as we know it, is largely developing software products. So you do need to have a working knowledge of everything. You don't need to be a programmer yourself, but you need to know the basics of code. You do need to know the basics of design. You do need to know how a database works. You do need to know, what a system architecture sort of works at a very broad level. And this may seem scary to you right now, being a commerce student, but believe me, if you spend a couple of weeks, take something of Coursera or Masters Union, I'm sure has some modules as well. Just familiarize yourself with the concepts, and you should be okay. What As a product manager, the biggest skills that you need to have is you need to communicate well, because like you mentioned, you will have to work with engineering, with design, with sales, with marketing, with leadership. So you'll be working across all these different teams, and you have to understand that what you're doing, no coder will be able to do. A coder will not be able to communicate with the CPO or the CEO or the CMO of the company. They will not be able to chat with the salespeople to understand what's going on. They will not be able to do user interviews. So you are bringing all of these skills together as a product manager. So it's not like a lot of developers will say product managers don't do anything. They're just making documents. They're just sending out emails. But that's not true. You're working with all of these different functions and bringing it all together. But I would, anybody who says you don't need a working knowledge of tech, like the tech stack, what your tech stack is in terms of what the coding languages you are using, what your front end is, what your back end is, what database you are using, I think they would be misleading you, because you do need a working knowledge of all of these concepts, but it's not very hard to get a working knowledge of these. Do a few courses, and once you start working, you'll pick it up yourself. Because one skill that you do need for being a product manager is to be curious. So if you are curious, you'll pick up all of these skills. I'm gonna stop with the question. We've all heard of the quote, "Jack of all trades," right? Jack of all trades, master of none. Do you know the entire quote? Does anybody know what the entire quote is? There's some hands up. I don't know if you're answering my question.
Yeah, I'll just unmute them.
So this is a question that there's some quite of difference between CTO and a product manager, or they are both are similar.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question, Kujan.
I mean, that as you see, product managers also with the developers or senior developers what to integrate, what to develop, and so there's a difference between CTO and product manager. They are both similar.
Oh, they're very different. So the coders code, right? Everything that in software development uh, depends on the engineers putting the code together. There's the back end that you don't see, and there's the front end that interacts with the UI that's on your screen right now. So all of that is done by the engineers. That all the engineers have their own organization that's headed typically by a CTO, who's the Chief Technology Officer. In larger companies, smaller companies may not have a CTO, but that's one organization. Product management is a different function. The engineers, the developers, they don't know what to build, or they are not empowered to take the decision on what to build. They know how to build, but it is for product people to tell them what to build and why. So, there's the cliche, but there's a button, and you say, oh, why is it a blue button or a red button? The developers will change the color of the button, but it's the product managers who will tell them, oh, you have to change the color of the button, and this is why you should do it. So that's what we do as product people.
I think Dash has something to say. Yeah.
I had a question.
Yeah.
First, my question was, can you describe a typical day as a project manager?
Product manager.
Product manager, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Before that, I will complete the quote I said.
Yeah.
I was saying. So the complete quote is, "Jack of all trade, master of none is oftentimes better than master of one." So that, people, you just use the first line, they say, oh, master, Jack of all trades, master of none, and use it in a negative sense. But it's actually a positive thing. So as product people, and I come to your question, Dash, it's linked to this. As product people, we're jack of all trades, and that's a good thing, because we have a working knowledge of all of these functions. We make the product come to life, where each of these individual functions would not be able to do it themselves, and therefore a typical day in the life of product manager is not very predictable. So every day looks different, which may be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you look at it. But because you're solving problems, you'll typically be thrown different challenges every day. Typically, a day would start with something called a stand-up meeting. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a meeting where all the developers and the product manager, if there's a project manager, they would also be part of it, and everybody would explain what they're working on, and also what they plan to accomplish that particular day. And sometimes, that week or that sprint. A sprint is typically a 2-week period where we're trying to ship something. Shipping means that we're actually deploying a piece of code. So typically we start with that to just make sure everybody's aware of what everybody else is doing. So that's how it would start, and may have a meeting with leadership, may have a meeting to just look at your backlog. Backlog is a list of things you need to work on. So you have to prioritize what is the best use of engineering resources. So that could be one. You could have a meeting with sales to figure out how the product is doing, what feedback we're getting. We may have some user interviews. So we may actually be using talking to end users to get their feedback. There may be a meeting with marketing to figure out how to message this in the market, and how we can help them with marketing. There will most likely be with a meeting with the design team to look at designs on some of what we're building in terms of the screen, the UI, different parts of it. And yeah, it's typically there's a lot of moving parts, and as a product manager, your biggest responsibility in that day would be to say no. You'll have to learn to say no in like 100 different ways, because there's always pressure to build things. And there'll be leadership who will be telling you things. There'll be the sales people who'll be like, oh, you just have to build this one feature and we'll make $1 million. The engineers will have a different point of view. So your job is to take all of these inputs and make sure you are taking the best decision for the company that's backed by data. And then you tell the engineer, this is top priority, this is what we build right now, this is what we build after this is what we build after this. And that's kind of a typical week, not a day, but a typical week in the life of a product manager. And all of this goes out of the window if something breaks, like right in production, like we're using Zoom, right? For some reason, if people can't log into Zoom, then everybody will just drop everything and try to fix it. So that also happens quite often.
Great. I hope that answers all of your questions. Can we move forward with the questionnaire? I think the screen is lagging a bit. Can we have the next question on the screen? Yeah, thank you so much. So, essentially, Anant has been, very kind to answer all of your questions in between the questionnaire that we have set for you guys. So essentially, this is one of the questions that might be there in your mind. So the skill set that are required to excel in this role, he has already talked about the communication skills that we have, the empathy that we need to understand, trying to understand the user. But what exactly do you think are the hard skills that, as a product manager, one needs to have? Um, if you could answer that for us.
Let's talk about hard skills first, and then I'll talk about the soft skills, because those are equally important. The hard skills. So let's talk about the career path. And I think it was Pranav who asked if having a commerce background, you can transition to commerce to product management. So the typical career path of a product manager is either you're a developer, and then you want to move to the product side of things, and then you do that. You could be a project manager. You could move in there, where you could be in data, and you could transition to product. The MBA is also a very common path where people mid career professionals, the early career professionals, they do an MBA and then they're recruited to work as product managers. But I have met product managers from all disciplines. Some of the best product managers that I have met have not had a science degree, computer degree. In one of my previous organizations, there was a girl, she had a sociology background, and she was fantastic. She was a great product manager. So I think hard skills that you need is a working understanding of tech. This goes back to one of the previous questions that was asked. So you need to know how code works. If you can do like a bit of coding, that's an added plus. You need to know how databases work. You need to know what, like basic tech. You don't need to know what an API is, how that works, what a webhook is. What does backend mean? What does front end mean? What is UI? And if you don't know any of these terms, it is absolutely fine. It's not very hard to understand some of these concepts, but just working knowledge of, just how tech works. Data, be very, very good with data. And by data, I don't mean you have to be a data scientist. You don't need to know SQL. You just need to have a data mindset that the decisions you're taking have to be based on data. And it could be as simple as in the beginning, looking at an Excel sheet, and just looking at patterns, figuring out patterns, building a graph out of that. What does usage look like? What does revenue look like? Is it going up? Is it going down? How is the product performing in different regions? So just having that mindset to be able to parse the data that you have. And then I think this probably comes in the realm of soft skills, but I think communication is so important. A lot of roles, product management or any role, uh, uh, just goes to people uh, uh, that are known to people who are hiring. And this is, this is a fact that you may like or you may not like. I know Sneha, like, hey, I like all of Sneha work for me. She's like, yeah, I know this guy. Would you care to speak to him? And I may or may not like that person, but I probably would interview that person, right? So just build your networks from now itself. Just talk to as many people as you can. Get on LinkedIn, follow companies. Just be aware and be good with communication. I think that's super important in today's day and age, whether we like it or not. And I understand that some of us find it hard, and we're introverted. I'm an introvert, and I find it hard to just put myself out there. But it's a skill that you can get better with over time. So communication is super important. Problem solving, I would rank that very, very highly as well. Be able to problem solve, be very calm under pressure, and be very curious. I mean, if you're curious, you will pick up all of these things that I spoke about. If you're interested in what the sales team is doing, if you're interested how design works, how what is Figma, can I just spend 30 minutes and figure out what the basics of Figma are? How does marketing work? What is performance marketing? How does social media work? If you're curious, I think that's a big battle won right off the bat.
Correct. So, like, just to add on a
Is
bit on
that
this,
Did I
maybe
answer the question? Follow-up question.
your voice is lagging a bit, Anant.
No, go ahead, Sneha.
Yeah, I was just asking, just to add on, like, what do you think is the most important skill to know? Because you said we need to know the basics of design, data, tech. What is the most important or the most, essential skill, hard skill as a product manager that one needs to have?
So because you said hard skill,
Yeah.
I would say data. Because
Okay.
even if you look at something like problem solving or user empathy,
Yeah.
that's not really a hard skill. So if you're talking about hard skill, I would say just being able to uh, look at data and interpret data. I think that would be very important.
Makes sense. Anybody else has any follow-up questions with Anant? Okay, we'll move forward then. Can we have the next question? Again, this is something that has already been answered, a day in
Yeah.
the life of the product manager. No worries, we'll move forward. Yeah. So, as you were talking about the educational qualifications like an MBA, or you were talking about people coming from different fields and becoming a product manager, essentially, what do you think should be the ideal path if one knows from the beginning itself that they want to be a product manager? What should be ideally their bachelor's and master's look like?
Yeah. So we're in 2025, and I personally think that formal qualifications or traditional qualifications are not as relevant as they used to be. They're not irrelevant. I would not go so far, but some of the traditional disciplines are becoming less relevant. Like a traditional BCom, BSc, things like that. They're becoming less relevant. Um, Having said that, for some employers, the institution you go to matters. So, if you go to St. Stephen's or whatever, a top university, that brand may matter. A typical path would be engineering plus MBA unfortunately. It's still probably the most common path to product management.
Mhm.
But I would add to that, if you know you want to be a product manager, right? I think do anything for your bachelor's, whatever it is that interests you. Um, on the side, pick up some data skills, pick up a working knowledge of how code works, how Figma works. Figma is the it's an industry standard for design. It's very intuitive, not so hard to pick up. Get into AI. Right now, AI is democratizing everything we're doing. So I use so many tools every day. I use Perplexity, I use ChatGPT, I use Claude, I use Cursor, Bolt, Lovable, and they have really made so many of my tasks so easy. For example, as a product manager, you have to do a lot of documentation.
Correct.
Using some of these tools, documentation has the time taken to make these documents has come down so much. It frees up so much of my time to do other things. I'm digressing. I'm coming back to the skill, the qualifications that I needed. So while you're doing your bachelor's and you're picking up these skills, doing some of these courses, try to see if you can intern at a startup. And I'm specifically saying startup and not a company, because being in a startup will expose you to so many different things. Um, you'll be expected to sort of pitch in wherever you're needed. So if by the end of your bachelor's you have a working knowledge of data, of code, you're familiar with AI, with a bit of design, and you've had some experience just being at a startup, as an intern, you can't deliver that much value. But if you just have been in and around a startup, at that point of time, when you graduate, you will be in a very good place to figure out, what kind of company you want to work at and what kind of industry. And I would say at that point of time, reach out to the people, reach out to companies, reach out to people, get experience, couple of years experience, and then do an MBA. I think if you do that path, you'll be very well set up to be a product manager.
Great. I think someone has question in the chat. So Yash is asking like what would be the best way to pick up skills on the side that you were talking about? Are these the courses on Coursera or like any specific courses that you have in mind?
So for code, yeah, I mean, Coursera is great. I use Coursera a lot. YouTube is great. Um, and that's a starting point. Then you start to practice. Like if you want to pick up coding, just get Scratch. I don't know if you will use Scratch. It's a very intuitive, user-friendly, almost fun way to learn the basics of code, especially if you don't want to become a coder, but just want to figure out, how code works. Especially with design, similarly with design, just make an account on Figma, just and spend 15 minutes on YouTube figuring out how that works. Just play around with it. AI, right after this call ends, you can go and play with it. Just get familiar with it. It's not very hard. Similarly with data, just go to YouTube, figure out what a database is, what data structures look like, what what different tech stacks are. So popular. There's a lot of free tools out there to help you to practice. So I think what we've solved for in today's age is the information. You get information from anything. What we haven't solved for is the discipline and the motivation, right? So we have all the information you could possibly need. You can listen to Harvard lectures, without even having to pay any money. But how many of us do that? I don't do that. I don't have the time or inclination or motivation to just go and listen to random lectures, even if they're delivered by the best professors in the whole world and they're for free. So we haven't solved for motivation. So if you are able to solve for discipline and you are able to solve for motivation, I think you'll go a long way. So it's almost about figuring out the tools, which is not so hard to do, and then put a system in place. This week I will spend 10 minutes every day on this skill, and that's enough. That's enough. You're what, 16, 17 years old, you still have a few years before you go into the workforce. That's enough to build your skills. So as long as you can solve for motivation, put your systems in place, I think you should be okay. The information is not a problem.
Correct. I hope that answers your question. Kushant has something to say. Go ahead.
So, so like I know coding, I know web development, content development, I know React hooks, API work with API. I know UI UX, I work with Figma. I know how to use the. I know I am very familiar to use different AIs. So what does more it takes to get me product manager in a startup or at least doing an intern?
Okay, so is the question, what does it take to land a product manager role? Is that the question?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah, essentially he's asking like what are the tools especially required to become an intern in a company as a product manager.
So um, you have to communicate, you have to just reach out to a lot of people. For example, we've connected, just send me an invite on LinkedIn. Um, keep interacting, with other people, see where the opportunities are. One metric or one technique that I found very useful is just see what companies are doing well, in terms of, you can look at the balance sheet and you can figure out what company is growing, what their revenue is, what their profits are. Or if it's a startup or a company that's not public, you can just see what kind of funding they have raised. So for example, if Zepto's raised whatever, a series D of $100 million, they have money, they have runway, they're probably looking to hire people. So you can target those companies, and then you can figure out, okay, on LinkedIn, just search for product manager at Zepto or senior product manager at Zepto, director at Zepto. Reach out to them. It takes time, it takes effort, it can get demotivating when people don't respond. But if you reach out to 20 people, a couple of people will respond. So there's no shortcuts, there's no easy ways. You have to communicate, you have to put yourself out there, and you just have to put in the effort. But it will happen, I can tell you that it will happen.
And sir, like I am doing an AI startup, so essentially at a zero valuation, do we need a product manage there, or at least what valuation does we hire a product manager? So do we also not give them money, giving them ESOPs? It will also beneficial for our startup too.
So you already got a startup.
Yes, sir. I am building an AI startup.
Oh, that's amazing. Congratulations, first of all. So at what stage are you? What is the startup? Tell me more.
It's like I am combining all of the AI and tools agents present on the internet into a single website, into a single click for user, for all of the editors, developers, anyone can use it.
Okay, and are you? Is this live? Is this something that people can actually go and use?
No, no, actually, we soon gonna launch our beta version. Like within this month, I think we will launch the beta version.
Okay, and so what does your team look like? Who are the people involved?
Like currently, me and my another co-founder, we are developers. Just currently, we are developing both front end and back end. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, it's fantastic. Good luck. I think this is absolutely great to hear. I would say you don't need a product manager for a while yet. Just you are the product manager, right? You and your co-founder, you are the product managers. You are figuring out what it is that is, you've figured out a gap in the market. You're building something. You will get feedback. And the reason I say is you don't need a product manager for a while yet is that as a founder or co-founder, it's very good to get feedback directly. So as long as possible, don't get a product manager. Your first few hires need to be engineers. If you need, if you have a product that works, then you probably want to look at marketing. If you need sales people to help sell it, do that. If you do get funding, yeah, it's worth considering getting a product manager if you have enough engineers. A good engineer to product manager ratio is maybe 5 or 6 to 1. So if you have maybe at least 4 engineers working on this, then you could consider getting a product manager, because it may be too much for you to handle at that stage, just figuring out what needs to be built, what needs to get prioritized. Yeah, so I'd say not until you have 4 or 5 engineers working full time on this.
Like at what valuation should it is required to be had? Like it should be 1 lakh, 1 crore, or something else.
I don't think the valuation is the right metric to look at hiring a product manager. Just look at whether you've launched it, or whether you're getting any revenue, and if you have enough enough people building it. If you have uh, if you have money for salaries, get more engineers to build, and you can be the product manager till you figure out that there's something that you can't do anymore. I don't think it's linked to valuation.
Okay, thanks for the
Thank you, Kushant, for your questions. Suyash, you can go ahead.
Hello, sir. My question is basically more of a follow-up, actually. So, I was just wanting to ask that these courses that and all that you were talking about, are they recognized? Like, could we get jobs using those certificates if we don't have any basic knowledge, except those?
I would say no. To be honest, if you do some of those courses, which you would do with the primary aim of upskilling yourself and getting knowledge, you would do it to either exhibit what you know through a project. Like for example, you've got the AI skills, you've got the design skills. It would probably be good also to do a project on the side, build something simple like a website or an app, or something that solves a problem, and demonstrate your skills. If you're doing these courses to get like some kind of certification to enhance your job prospects, I think it helps to a certain extent, but there'll always be somebody who has a fancier degree than you, right? So then you're in a race that's hard to win. So I think use these courses as a way to upskill yourself, and not to make your resume more attractive, if I can put it that way.
Okay, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for such insightful questions, all of you. It, I think, helps answer each one of us question that we have. Can we move forward? Okay, so next up is, how do you think this role will evolve in the future? You have already talked about AI tapping into the space and the need of aspiring product managers to learn AI. What do you think will this role evolve in itself? Will we have less product managers need in the companies and AI will take up that? What do you think is going to look like?
So honestly, it's hard to say right now. There's some, for example, I don't know if you heard the very sad news that Microsoft has laid off a lot of people,
Right, right, right.
laid off 6,000 people. I don't think that's because of AI. I think
Yeah,
that's more because of business reasons. They probably had to show shareholder profit, or maybe they needed to free up money to put into AI research. I don't know. No one knows, right? But I don't think it's because AI took away those jobs. It's
hmm,
probably because they overhired just after COVID or whatever it was. The fact is that AI is writing a lot of code. So perhaps there'll be fewer engineers in the future. Does that mean there'll be fewer product managers? Maybe. We don't know. But what product managers bring to the table that engineers don't, project managers don't, program managers in a lot of sense don't, is responsibility, ownership, and judgment. That
correct,
at least for the foreseeable future, I don't think AI can you cannot automate that. You
correct.
cannot automate a process where, a CEO will come and say, oh, no, you need to do this. But the sales guy said, no, but we need to do that. Design says, this won't look pretty. Engineers say, oh, this is why we can't do this. And you take all of this information and you process it and you figure out what is best for the company. And also you take responsibility for all of those decisions. So because product manager is so much about the soft skills, I don't think
Right.
product manager is going away. I think
Correct.
AI will help to make product management better, more efficient. And product managers will need to evolve. I think the product managers who don't use AI, maybe they will become irrelevant in a
Correct.
world in which everybody's um, adopting AI. But this is an evolving space, and I would encourage everybody to just keep upskilling themselves. Just make sure you're aware of the latest in AI, in machine learning. Just make sure you're aware of what's going on in the world generally. And I don't think there'll be, I don't think you'll go wrong if you keep upskilling yourself.
Agree, definitely. It just helps us increase the efficiency, or probably product manager is a role that calls for soft skills more rather than hard skills. Okay, so cool. We'll move on to the next question. You guys can switch on your camera so that we keep it interactive for the last 10 minutes that we have. Okay. So this question is really interesting. So you could tell us about an interesting product that you worked on, because you've had a lot of experience working in various companies. Is there any interesting product that you think you want to share with us?
Okay, so the second part of the question is the valuable lesson you took away from it. And we learn the most from stuff that's
Yeah.
failed. The stuff that works, first
Yeah.
of all, there's 100 people who are willing to take credit for it.
Mhm.
And also, you don't learn so much, right? Because you had a hypothesis, you think this would work and it works. And yeah, but stuff that fails, that's, first you have to ask hard questions. It caused a lot of heartburn and a lot of shouting and all of that. But it's an opportunity. If you look at it dispassionately, to learn and very interesting in terms of how you can take that apart. So I have an example. This was when I was about 3 years ago. I was working in a company called Bolt. Bolt is a EV charging company. They're a pretty large company. About 3 years ago, there was a big boom in this space, EV charging, EVs in general. There was a lot of companies in the OEM, the manufacturer space coming in, especially for two-wheelers. There was a lot of companies coming in the space of EV charging, how to make sure that the needs of the two-wheelers, especially, and I say two-wheelers because in our country, the bulk of sales of these come from two-wheelers, and that's likely to be the same for the foreseeable future. How these two-wheelers will charge, right? What is the model that will work? So I used to work with a company called Bolt, and a very well-funded company doing pretty well. I was leading product for the B2B side. And when I say B2B, it's business to business for those who don't. We were building something called a charging management system for charge point operators. So a charge point operator is an individual or company. They run a set of charging stations. So people come and charge, and this person or this company will make money. So we need a solution for these folks, where they would be able to log into a dashboard, monitor all of their charge points, see how much power has been dispensed, how many of these have been used, if there's a fault in any of them, how much money is coming in, just be able to manage your entire network. So now there's something called hippo. I don't know, there's an animal called hippo, and there's a breed of people called hippo. Hippo is the highest paid person in the room, right? So, so essentially, in product manager, the management, your biggest risk is from hippos, where a leader will come in, the CEO or CPO, and say, "No, you should do this because this is what I think." It's not backed by data, but it's just that person's opinion. And a lot of times, product fail because people are not able to push back. So we were in this company, and we had one paying customer, and we were asked by somebody in the leadership to build this solution with great UI, with lots of features. We did, it had all the bells and whistles, and we spent a lot of time working on it, a lot of effort, a lot of engineers working on it, spending sleepless night, and we launched it. And you know what happened? Nothing happened. Revenue didn't go up. We didn't get more customers. Nothing changed. And that was a very big lesson for me, because you have to have a very clear and precise reason for doing something. So if you're spending uh, your company's resources, and as product people, you must always remember that the most expensive resource in any company is engineering time. So if you're spending all of that money building something, you should have a very, very good reason for doing it. So I thought that I would share that with you, because that's something that failed spectacularly. We wasted a lot of money doing it. There was no outcome because we did not have a good why we were doing it, why we were making this thing so pretty, why we had all of these features that no one actually ever used. Because we did not have a good answer for that. We did not do our research. We did not talk to enough users. We did not have a good enough business plan. We failed, and it was a good lesson. And I always look back whenever we're building something new. How is important, but even more important than how is why. Why are we doing it?
Interesting. So, like, one thing that you mentioned about the hippos that are there in the company. So, like, does it also exist today as well? Like the hippo taking the final call, where that feature is to be implemented or not?
Yeah, of course, it happens all the time.
Interesting. Great. So, okay. So the next question that we have for you is, what is the one thing that you like about product management, and what is the one thing that you dislike?
A couple of things I like about product management. One is that your day never looks the same. There's always something new that you have to do. There's always a new problem you have to solve. The other thing I really like is you get to talk to a lot of different people across the company, which in a lot of other roles you would not be able to do. Like as an engineer, you never talk to somebody in sales or marketing or the leadership. But as a product manager, even if for somebody who's fairly junior, you will have exposure to a lot of people, and you will get to see a lot of perspectives, which I think is phenomenal. You also make a lot of connection. Your network grows exponentially. That's something that I've always enjoyed. What I don't like is because there's so many moving parts, it can get overwhelming. So you have to have a mental model to deal with that.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, okay. So the next question that we have is, can we have the next question? Also, if you guys want to ask something in between, feel free to do that. Okay, so Kushant has a question for us. What impact does AI create as PM, and what impact in future is it going to be? Okay, the impact he's asking about.
What impact AI creates? So let me tell you some of the tools that I use on a daily basis. I use this tool called Perplexity to do a lot of research. It's fantastic. It helps me do a lot of business research. It has access to real time company information. It has access to a lot of research journals, so it makes my job of doing market research, business research, competition research a lot easier. I use chat gpt to write all my documents, and it is absolutely brilliant. And I know in school and college we're discouraged from using these tools to write, for good reason, because we want our communication skills to get better. But in the corporate world, nobody's giving you points for writing better. Right? You just have to write clearly and concisely, and AI does a great job of that. Another thing that product managers are expected to do is wireframing and mockups. Wireframing and mockups is essentially just basic drawings, basic diagrams to be able to explain what you want to do. For example, if you look at this boom screen, right? Somebody would have made this. Some product manager would have made some boxes and saying, oh, this is going to be the people who are actually on the call. They would have an icon for the mic and for muting and camera. So for us to be able to communicate with engineers and other people, we have to be able to make some of these basic drawings. They're called wireframes. So even for design people to know what it is to be made, they need, rather than me just talking, it's just good to have something visual. So before AI, we would spend a lot of time using tools like Miro, using tools like, I use a lot of Miro, but yeah, just basic wireframing tools. Right now, I use Lovable a lot and Bolt to wireframing, and it takes so much less time to do it. What else do I use AI for? I don't use it, but the engineers use it to write part of their code, to debug code. I use AI to help me prepare for meetings, for presentations. So I'm struggling to write emails. If I need to write emails, I just like do like a word vomit and then put in AI to make it presentable. So I'm struggling to think of something I don't use AI for. Yeah, Pranav.
Great. Yes.
Yeah, hi. So another question I had was, what type of products would you kind of steer away from to become a product manager of? Like, I'm sure there are some kind of products which you don't want to like work with because it's either tough or it's something you don't, you just don't want to work with. What are some of the things you could advise people on not to work with, or if it's not the right one for people? Did you understand the question?
Yeah, I did. So I think there's no bad products. I think the only situation in which I would not work on a product was if I would, if I thought it was not ethical or it wasn't aligned with my moral compass. This could be social media platforms that use maybe algorithms that are designed to hook younger people. I'm just giving examples, or maybe a vaping company, or things like that, where I'm saying I don't want to work for this company because I don't think it's ethical. Apart from that, if you have a choice, always work on a product that's harder, because you get to learn more. It's also more fun to work on a product that's less mature. So if today you were to work at Amazon as a product manager, I'm guessing there'll be less to do. Whereas if you're working at, say, OpenAI, is probably working on cooler stuff. So it's just also where you are in the product life cycle. If you're closer to, the beginning rather than a more mature stage, you'll probably have more interesting problems to solve, probably more stressful, but you probably learn a lot more. But I don't think there's any bad product that you want to stay away from.
Great. Do you guys have any more questions or should we move forward? How much time do we have? Do we have a few more minutes with you, Anant?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. Sure. We'll just take up last few questions. Can we have the next question, please? Okay. Yeah. So, something tailored to the students' needs.
There,
So, how can
there's
us?
one question before this, right? One myth or something.
Okay. Sure. Can we go back to the previous question? Okay. Yeah, we missed this. Okay. So, can you bust one myth about product management for the participants today?
Yes, I can. And I did want to answer this question. So a lot of times product management is marketed as you're the CEO of your product, which is absolutely wrong. You are not the CEO of the product.
Okay.
Because and I wanted to make this point rather than just make that statement, is because you don't have any formal authority as a product manager. The engineering team doesn't report to you, design doesn't report to you, marketing doesn't report to you. So you're responsible for something. You're responsible for the outcome, you're responsible for the output, but you don't control any of these teams. So you have to use your informal authority, you have to use your communication, your relationships to get stuff done. So, if you were a CEO, you would also have authority, but you have zero authority. You have all the responsibility that a CEO would have, but you have zero authority. So yeah, so that's the method I was.
Great. I think that especially helped me because I was talking about product manager being the CEO of the product at the beginning of the session. Thank you so much for that. So, like, we'll just take last one question. Do you guys have something, or should I take that up? Anything you guys have? Just one last question we'll take up. No worries. So, we'll just take one last question. Yeah. So, like, how can our students figure out if product management is the right career choice for them? I think the apt last question for them.
I think if you think product management, if you want to get into product management, I would really encourage you to build something. And build something. First of all, figure out a gap in the market. It could be anything, right? And it doesn't have to be a software product. Maybe like a particular kind of food that's not there in Bangalore, for instance. There's a gap in the market. How can you sell it? How can you deliver it? People like it. Just figure out a problem, create a solution, see if you want to go through the whole process. Don't do it with the goal of making it like $1 billion company or even making money. Just go through a process of identifying a gap in the market, building a solution, and then try to sell it. If you enjoy that whole process, product management is probably a good fit for you.
Great. We'll just take up Pranav's question if he has anything to say. Yeah, Pranav.
Yeah, hi. So I wanted to know, how would a product manager deal with a merger, with when your companies are merging? I'm sure you're colliding with other products in a merger, right? How would your focus change, or how would you just deal with it? Like, how would you respond?
That's a really good question, very insightful. I did happen to go through a merger, actually an acquisition more than a merger. I used to work for a company called Harappa Education, and we got acquired by a much, much larger company called Upgrad.
Oh, yeah.
So Harappa became part of Upgrad, and then there's overlapping products, in some cases overlapping roles. There's a lot of restructuring. You started to report into different people. There's different people reporting into you. So there's a lot of uncertainty, definitely, that comes along with it. I think it helps to speak to your leadership and be mission aligned, and just request them for clear communication if they can, because mergers and acquisitions, especially for people who are impacted or are in overlapping positions, can be a time of uncertainty. It's good if leadership can give you a clear North Star. This is the overall outcome. This is what we're building. This is what the outcome it is, what we need. And there's going to be some uncertainty in the short term, but in the long term, we will all benefit. So if you can have a very open discussion with your leadership around that, that's probably the best way to go. But to your question, mergers and acquisition typically bring a bit of uncertainty, and it can be stressful.
Great. Any more questions, anyone? Okay, so this brings us to the end of this. Thank you so much, Anant, for your insights. It was really insightful, especially for these guys, but for me also, I got to learn a lot about product management. I'm also first year, so it was very insightful for me as well. Thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you, Sneha. It was real pleasure. Thank you, everybody, for attending the session. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys took away something from the session.
Definitely, definitely.
Okay, take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much. I hope this session was insightful for you all. Do you guys have anything to say? Okay, Pranav has anything to say. People have already left. Okay. Yes.